September 27th, 2021. I just came, back from a walk on Bell Boulevard. For one of the first time ever, they had a gentleman, looked like he could have been, we'll call him Irish. Like my grandmother's Irish, of like Prince Harry looks Irish to me. So now that lineage. And so he was standing on the corner with this advertisement for this fine little lady, whoever she is. He said that he's known her for a long time. I said that that is absolutely wonderful. And he asked, first of all, he was holding like in Suffolk County, they put them on the lawns. I don't know what the city does with their like little signs, for whatever. And then this handsome gentleman, I was on the, whatever. I have to go through reading this, but it was a windy day and I was holding an umbrella. So not out of disrespect, but I folded them and put them on my zipper inside pocket so it stayed vested and it didn't fly away in the wind. So he was speaking that he knows this little lady. So now I said to him, I said, I haven't always lived out here. I said, but when I changed my driver's license from Suffolk to here, I said, I thought that it automatically, do you know where you go to vote around here? And he said he didn't. He says it's usually near a school. I said, all right, because out in Suffolk it was by a fire. It was at the firehouse. So that happened, but he said, and then he said he gets a directory by him. He's in Rockaway. I was like, really? I was like, they don't give directories out around here. I was like, and then I said to him, I said, well, he said, why don't you call and find out? I go, yeah, call. He goes, look in the phone book. I go, the phone book? That would be nice, but they don't even print those anymore. He says, they do by me. I go, they do? I was like, because they don't put them out around here. And he goes, yeah, well, now everybody has cell phones. And I'm like, yeah, no, I get that. I was like, maybe do I call 311 and ask for one? And he goes, well, do you have a landline or do you only have a cell phone? And I go, no, they have a landline where I am. He says, well, then maybe 311 would be a good idea. I was like, you know what? I was like, thank you, because that's actually a really great idea. I didn't realize that they still print the phone book. I mean, it's been years since I've had to use it, but whatever. So then I thanked him for his time. Oh, and he asked me how long ago I moved back to the city, and I said around 4 or 5 years ago. He was like, oh, all right. So that's that. And then, I have to think about it. So then I went for the rest of my walk, uneventfully, thank goodness. And as I came back, oh my God, talk about a sight for sore eyes. Holy cow. Calgary, take me away. Calhoun, whatever. Raised the Dead. They had two handsome gentlemen on horses walking through Bayside. I'm like, every time I see these gentlemen, it is like the little angel and the little devil on my shoulder. They just it's like a cheerleading squad. I am just so happy to see them. Sight for sore eyes. There's so many disgusting, filthy vehicles everywhere. To see a live animal just parading down my main street, it's like a little slice of Denmark or Copenhagen, Scandinavian heaven for me. So I stopped and I said, oh, gentlemen, I said, who said chivalry is dead? So I made them both laugh. Now, interestingly enough tonight, they had on an NYPD-esque thread, like the nylon blended with some cotton, perhaps a little heavy on the cotton, a little less on the nylon. It looked like kind of sort of, but not really, on their uniform. But they had a triangle, and it looked like a cheese wedge. It was whatever, but it was not the other gentleman that I see on horseback. It was a different equestrian league, I'm assuming, or perhaps they just have different specialty garb when they're inner city fighting with their own Big Brother league of policemen. It could be. So now, these wonderful gentlemen were stopped in front of, it was between 7-Eleven and Carvel, but on Main Street, on my Bell Boulevard, where I stopped and I said, who said chivalry is dead? And I made them laugh. And then I backed up because I was walking with my umbrella, the green and black one. And then I said to them both, I said, I do have to say, I heard on the news that one of the horses in the city got hurt. I said, and then all of a sudden, during that news segment, they brought up all this really negative stuff about the horses and whatever. I was like, between you guys and me, I would rather get rid of the officers in the vehicles and put more horses on the street. Actually, I'd rather not get rid of all the police officers, period. I like the league, but I want less cars on the road and more horses, because this disgusting arrangement and derangement, I mean, I could have had a police league so much nicer and better and well put together. Plus, I would have had Mountie up in Canada's approval. I mean, it really would have been a nice cohesive effort if we could have montaged less with the children of evil from everywhere, importing all of these cars and trying to sell everybody on bioengineered products and so on and so forth. But here we are, years later, and now having to scale back with the same exact plan. So now that happened. So they made my evening. So whoever sent those into my pathway, thank you. From Bayside Station, Bayside, New York, 11361. Let's think. Right. More DVM school for doctors of veterinary medicine. Less need for trade school in mechanics and computer engineering and computer chips and all that bad stuff that goes along with all the radio antennas and hi-fi, sci-fi messing up with your kids and their ability to comprehend and perform stuff. Well, one of the programs yesterday brought up the verbal construct of performing arts. I really should have pursued performing arts in hindsight, but again, Lou was like, finance. And I'm like, what's finance? And he's like, I don't know, it's playing with other people's money, it's a good idea. And I'm like, that sounds like a terrible idea, and it sounds really boring. But that was his only college advice for me, was to go for finance for playing with other people's money. And I'm like, he's like, worst case scenario, you go in 2 years and then you change it. Alright, dope. You went in for performing, like, you didn't even go to college, but performing arts would have been, like, the better option in hindsight, but retrospect. So let's think about this. Alright, so I have somebody with a kind heart sent me 2 equestrian gifts this evening on horseback, which I was incredibly professional, as always. But I can't help but point out to them just how happy I am to see them on horses and not in vehicles. Since I'm like, oh, and I told somebody else the other night, I'm like, it was really, really loud, and it was late. Late enough, before 9 o'clock for me. But an ambulance came by, and it was so viciously loud in decibels. To the hearing, it was like, wow. And the lights now, they've upgraded themselves, unbeknownst to anything important, from a either LED or halogen level lighting schematic to a xenon. Like, they increased it, and now it's at neurally blinding. Like, it leaves spots in the eyes, and it's actually a neural disruptor for transmission. So that I was driving with one behind me, and it was, I mean, literally, I turned the mirrors away. It was a lot. But now they have them on the streets every day. And I said to one of I found a guy, and he was on his phone, and I was like, let me ask you a question. I was like, do you remember the 80s and 90s? Like, wasn't it a thing, the strobe lights? Didn't they say, like, you're going to stroke the kids out with strobe lights? Like, wasn't allowed? I was like, how'd the city get away with putting them on, like, emergency service vehicles for, like, nobody important ever? I was like, how did that get pushed through? And the guy's like, he's like, yeah, they did say that. And I'm like, they did. But then you put it on an emergency service vehicle, and now all of a sudden they think, like, mini gods were rolling through the neighborhood with their decibels so loud and their lights strobing out. I mean, it's a bit much, but whatever. So, let me think about it. So that happened. And, before I had mentioned something, okay, so now I got hit really, really bad. I know I've mentioned it several times. STONYBROOK Hospital. On the way, I stopped at the National Security Guard booth, but I couldn't verbalize because I was being hit by radio magnetrometer, like interfering with brainwave. So I was literally fully functioning, like pre-stroke. And so I couldn't even find the words to describe to them. I just gave them, I could drive just fine. And then I had other stuff going on in the background, like a mini TV series that somebody decided to connect, take away my verbal commands, and to connect some kind of, like, rabbit antenna, like, CGI movie set thing in a grape around my, like, almost like the Green Lantern, that shape in a IMAX movie theater, as I'm trying to function normally in the human world just beyond that, and then what's in between. And while they're taking away my verbal ability to explain what's going on, even though my full cognition, I was fully recording all the events that they were up to, and hitting me by really high advanced science. So now I go to the hospital to ask for an NSA rep, or NASA rep, or FBI or CIA, something. I said, do you have an emergency, like, phone list? I was like, I need to speak to somebody. I don't need trauma. Like, I didn't cut myself, but I need a phone number. And the nurse was like, no. She's like, we don't give those kind of phone numbers out. I go, I didn't ask you to give the phone number out. I was like, if I can't call them, can you call on my behalf so I can meet with somebody? I need to speak to them about something. And so she's just like, so then they wound up admitting me to the hospital and then putting me in a bed. I mean, it was a fucking disaster while I'm being biologically attacked, and while, like, high advanced weaponry knows that these high-wave microwaves inside of the hospital are being used, and inside the local Suffolk County by MacArthur Airport is being used against me. Because it's already on registry before I hit the fucking mark. So I'm just confused which one of the shitbags along the broken trail allowed this to go on without installing some form of preventative measure. Which one of you in New York State or New York City just sat around, or the federal government sat around and allowed that to continue and allowed me to be hit that badly? Because I go in and I said something about, it's almost like being an antenna conduit. I was like, and having a chip in your, I was like, imagine having a chip in your head. And now that's all Lewis remembers and Linda remembers, and now it's bipolar schizophrenia, and I'm like, I have to build a construct, you dumb fucking useless humans. I know you don't communicate at my level, but, like, sit back and, like, relax before you fucking make prejudgments at dumb fucking and useless parenting level. So now I'm like, and so then it became a thing, like, oh, it's gonna call the CIA for chipping your head. Last time I checked, you dumb fucking useless shitbags, cochlear implant, which helps people that don't have hearing. They put a chip with a radio antenna thingamajig behind it, and all of a sudden, like magic, they can hear. So it's not so fucking far-fetched. And today I see on Facebook, Elon Musk put some kind of like hat in the ring and writes that he's going to create some kind of magical chip surgically implanted in the head for these crazy surgeons that are like the medical device surgeons, which are really scary at biomedical ethics, for people who lose retina control and who can no longer see. He's going to make the blind see. I'm like, right, yeah, got that. Okay, so how many of like the advanced zodiac programming kids did you fuck with in order to get that opportunity to even have that come before biomedical ethics committee? Just curious. This is the state of the disgusting I am trapped within. They make these mental diagnoses of bipolar and schizophrenia. I'm like, first of all, the word bipolar, you bipedal motherfucker, is your zenith. Your magnetics is off. It's why you have Caldor fires. It's why you have climate change. It's why you have nuclear fusion gas that's combustible coming up, percolating through the sediment and is like hitting the atmosphere and sparking in high kindle areas like out west. I mean, these things are explainable, but I don't understand when you're at the level of knowing that I'm at. Why the fuck do I get pigeonholed with needles in my fucking arm like I'm fucking criminally insane? I'm like, no, I diagnosed the criminally insane at organized crime. I was like, I don't get along with your level of humanness when you mix politics, money, and sex, and then all of your human problems and whatever you lost along the banged up trail that I couldn't give two shits about because I still have bigger, more serious issues within big boy organized crime. I hear, by the way, on the news tonight, September 27th, 2021, R. Kelly, in federal court today, got some kind of high charge with racketeering and something else. Mafia charges and sex trafficking. Mafia charges, by the way. Oh my god. Right, yeah, see, we did the white guy mafia in the 80s, knowing that there were other versions of mafia. We weren't proponents of carrying that forward, considering the criminal court were handling it in a different echelon. So now, I hear now, like somebody, I think 50 Cent was out saying that he was redoing the mafia in a darker version. I'm like, why? I mean, like, this isn't something we're promoting for the next gens. Why would you want to have that as their go-to? Whatever. So that happened. So it seems like he got convicted today. I think that goes back to the Harlem uprising problems with the bad coordination with the Dutch and the French and the Algerian and the something else, Mexican Revolution, like descending upon the capital, right, at one precipice. Right, okay, bad idea when you have multiple attack strategies focusing on one designated location, being New York, all at the same time, and then there's nothing set up in order to take out each moving part as it tries to unfold itself and install itself into every major city from the known designated spot of New York. Right, here's the thing. I put up before about Chicago, like Chicago chic ago, CHIC, and then AGO, chic ago, when humans were actually tolerable and humane. I don't know Chicago, but if I say Chicago, then Miami-Dade, then Texas, then LAPD, and then everybody wants a cameo spot, and then the Mountaineers up north get upset. So I'm just like, listen, they went with Chicago, a TV land producer. Nothing to do with them. I got something going on, me and Capitol Police down in Washington. He's got his NYPD spot on Blue Bloods. Great. That's how he runs his Capitol Police. That's how we want NYPD to look. Great. Got it? Okay, that's how directorship works. Then we got the, like, well, I don't know, between me and you, I don't know really what New York's up to. I don't know what your Capitol Police is up to. But, like, now that we've got a big brother, little brother relationship there, why don't we do TV Land producer? Let's show them what firemen and cops really do in NYPD. Let's call them Chicago. Great. Okay, because they're not the forest firefighters. They're just inner city firefighters. They're just as important, but just different echelon. Sometimes you borrow them. Got it. There's a crossover there, too. Not getting into that detail. So, now we teach the public the most important people in an inner city setting are police and firemen. Great. Where did I lose you on the merit I already earned by teaching the public through the proper broadcast channel directorship on what would, if I could only write one script, what would I need? EMS, could we split it into 2 scripts and then do a crossover event, just like see how they interact with each other? Like, great idea, yeah, okay, yes it is, and whoever thought that one up and brought it to some meeting, I don't know. So now, how does that work? And now we know how, right, Capitol, Big Brother Police, training NYPD, Little Brother Police, we got some firemen and some whatever congregating in under a Chicago umbrella. Right, and now, because my NYPDs, when Jay went through the academy, really, like, their kindergarten speed is they're writing some tickets, and they're sitting on dead bodies. And then they're waiting for the detectives and the coroner and whatever the next process is, which only Big Brother Capitol Police seems to know. Just saying. That's what the blue uniform does, is writes some tickets, answers domestic problem calls, and tries to then direct if they need EMS. If they don't, I'm not so crazy about them making psychological calls because they're not equipped. But better training for bioterrorism spots might be a better way to go. Just saying. In all of the cities in the U.S.A. But I don't understand why I had to actually be hit and then go through your human level system and be subject to this much pain, suffering, and mental torture, and be deprived of housing, stipend, weaponry to defend myself from you fucking shits coming at me with all sorts of biomedical whatever, contaminants and biohazards, and then trying to take my blood in order to get special transcription, sequencing, and cross-reference it with some others in my lineage. That's a real problem, because then they steal all sorts of cosmological important data. See, like, leaving me out in the exposed public is not a good idea for so many levels and reasons. I don't understand how you humans get away with it. Really, I don't. Star 1978, Star 8378, Nicole Cataruso. I'm in Bayside Station, Bayside, New York, 11361.